Hello, good afternoon, friends, to a special edition of virtual dialogue on Catherine campaign, but with a new angle to it. Because our viewers know that National Water Mission and APEC is running a year-long campaign on Catherine campaign with district magistrates, with education leaders, with industry leaders. But this virtual dialogue is on a different note. This virtual dialogue on Catherine campaign is on exploring Indo-Dutch collaboration opportunities. And for that, we have eminent speakers from Government of India, as well as Netherlands Embassy in New Delhi, and the Dutch experts from Netherlands are joining us. This virtual dialogue is presented by Minister of Jal Shakti, National Water Mission, Namamai Gange, Government of India, along with the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, New Delhi, and organized by APEC News Network. With this, let me introduce to all of you the keynote speaker for this virtual dialogue. We have with us G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission and Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. We welcome G. Ashok Kumar. Thanks for joining us. He's the man we can talk about him that he's the man who actually had the vision to start a campaign called Catherine campaign for effective rainwater harvesting. We'll come to G. Ashok Kumar. We have with us Joost Hazel, Economic Counselor, Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in New Delhi. Thank you so much, Joost, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you. Glad to be here.
We're joined by Michelle Stoop from Urban Renshael, Netherlands. We welcome Michelle. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Pleasure. We are also joined by Daniel Lifshitz, Biosphere Foundation. We welcome Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you so much. We're joined by Russell Mikkelsen, Royal Elkamkam. Russell, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us today.
We're also joined by Christian Hendricks from HENAP. Thank you so much, Christian, for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we're also joined by Maya Acharya, Senior Policy Advisor, Water and Infrastructure, Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands, New Delhi. Thank you so much, Maya, for joining us today.
Thank you, Shouvik. It's a pleasure.
And I think we're also joined by Mr. Utpal Banerjee. He'll be also there along with Patient. So with this, let me invite Sri G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, to deliver the keynote address of this virtual dialogue on Catherine campaign, exploring Indo-Dutch collaboration opportunities. Over to you, Sri G. Ashok Kumar. You can set a context on what this campaign about and how you can see the areas of opportunities of collaboration where Dutch companies or Dutch expertise can be leveraged. Over to you, Sri G. Ashok Kumar.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks to Shouvik for the good introduction, and thanks for bringing all of us together in a platform. But particularly Maya, I would say thanks to Maya and her team, and the APEC and the Shauvik's team, Sangamitra and Shouvik and all the team, who had been very much associated with the Catherine campaign. We started it about a year back, and it's slowly picking up steam. I would say picking up clouds and water, and it's going on very well. The good thing is that this time the IMD the meteorology department has predicted 196 to 104% monsoon. That's a normal monsoon. So we should not have any problem of rains from above. It's only a problem of catching them and storing them. That would be our challenge. I'm very happy that today the Dutch Netherlands Embassy has joined us, because this is truly a great honor for us, because who understands water more than or better than Netherlands? So they have done a lot of work in the water sector. So it will be a great help for us if we can collaborate and do something for catching the rain. I'll take only 3-4 minutes, because I would like to listen to most of you and then set up some collaboration so that we can have a way forward. This Catherine campaign is a very simple campaign with the tagline "Catch the rain where it falls, when it falls." So basically, it is a decentralized storage of water, and people from Netherlands may not understand why we should catch the rain in very short time, because I'm told the average rainfall in Netherlands is about 800 mm, and the rain focus throughout the year. So weather is one very important point of discussion in Netherlands, and it rains throughout the year. So you will not understand the concept of rains coming in a short time and then disappearing in the remaining period of the year. So in India, we have, I mean, I'm told that in Netherlands we have about 217 rainy days with more than 0.1 mm rainfall precipitation. Whereas in India, it is a different scenario. We have the rains coming up in the monsoon period only, generally from the first week of June to September. That's the 4 5 months we have rainfall, and the remaining period of the time we will have to do with the water we get during those period. And again, it's a very interesting spread of rainfall in the quantity we get. We get very little rainfall, up to 100 to 150 mm rainfall in the western part of it, where we have deserts of Rajasthan and other areas, and we have the place called Chirapunji, which gets about 1100 mm rainfall. It's much more than what normal place gets. So 1100 mm rainfall, one of the largest, one of the areas which gets the largest rainfall in the world. So that it is there on the eastern side. It's about 170 days of rainfall. Calcutta gets about 102 days with 1800 rainfall, whereas Delhi gets about 52 days rainfall with about 790 mm. So that's the temporal and spatial variation. Nevertheless, we get rainfall only during the monsoon period. Part of the southern parts we get rainfall during retreating monsoon period. That is from November, December. So basically, we get rainfall from June to September, September, October, and October, November from the retreating monsoon, and that is the major source of water for India. We don't have any other major source like snow melting and all. It's only part of it, but most of the areas of the country gets this rainfall water only, and and the common picture which has emerged in the last couple of years because of the climate change and the variation in the intensity of rainfall is that we continue to get the same amount of rainfall. The total amount of rainfall almost remains the same, but we have the intensity varying. So the number of rainfall comes down sometimes to 30 40 days, and with high intensity, and this has created new challenges for us, in the sense like as we said, when the rainfall used to be slow in a very good pattern, which like most of you people in Netherlands experience a constant rain throughout the year, then the rainwater also has time to be very cool, go down to sink down to the earth and charge the aquifer. But in because of the climate change, as I mentioned before, the rainfall in India is become very intense in some part of the country, and in the very short time of rainfall, we get the water does not much time to actually sink to the ground and charge the aquifer. And added to it, we have the problem of urbanization going in a big way, and concretization, and a lot of tiling being done in many of the places of the country. So because of the increased compaction rate, and because of tiling and concrete and roads coming up in large areas, the permeability of the soil has come down, so there's not much water going on. These two factors, high intensity rainfall coming in short periods of time, and the permeability, or the cover where the rainwater can go down, has reduced. These two factors has contributed something to called as urban flooding. So we have see in many cities flooding occurring very regularly in the last decade or so. So urban flooding is a new phenomena which is creating a lot of havoc in the country. So like what you in Netherlands you had created the room for rivers. Probably we'll have to create space for rainwater under the ground somewhere. So probably we have to catch the rain and see that the rainwater is stored in the underground aquifer or in natural water bodies. So the catch line, as I said, of the campaign is catch the rain where it falls when it falls. Basically, we look at 4 or 5 aspects of this in this catch the rain campaign, which is covering all cities and all urban areas as well as rural areas. We had a similar campaign 2 years back, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, where we had only taken about 1,500 blocks. Blocks are small rural administrative units. So we had 1,500 blocks in water stressed areas last year. This time we are taking about 7,000 blocks. That means covering the entire country. And also last time we did not have urban areas, so this time we have urban area also covered. So we have to address both the issues of the rural areas and the urban areas, which are quite different, even though it's the same water, but it's the issues are quite different in both these areas. Urban area has a drinking water problem, but then there's a lot of the urbanization and compaction happening, and urban flooding happening very frequently, causing damages to roads and other areas. The density of population is going up, and there's very little area for storage water. That's one key area of concern in urban areas, because the traditional water bodies are disappearing. The lakes, which used to have a large number in the cities, have all disappeared because of the real estate value of the land. So many, and then a lot of cities had poor sewage facilities. So those sewage used to be opened up into the rivers, and the rivers, the lakes used to get contaminated and polluted. So pollution is another main concern in rural area, in urban areas. And second, and the third point is the dumping of debris and all has led to complete disappearance of lakes in many cities. So these are the couple of points which are facing the urban areas. And third important is the rivers which flow by the cities are getting polluted, because a lot of waste is being dumped onto the rivers. Namami Ganga is one major intervention which we have taken up, to take up STPs in the cities around the Ganges, and it is doing a wonderful job of cleaning up the river. But that is another challenge which we face in the urban areas. But when it comes to rural areas, there's a lot of pollution due to agriculture runoff, etc. That's another issue. But then lot of open areas are there, and those areas the water gets collected. But now as the area of agriculture is increasing, those ponds which were there, or the talabs which were there in some of the areas, are being disappearing. So this is a concern there. So, and we had very traditional water harvesting structures built from the Harappan times itself. We had very good harvesting structures built up in the area, but maintenance is lacking. So poor maintenance has resulted in many of these water bodies getting affected, and the old structures getting affected. These are the areas which are of concern. I'll take one more minute. So that is one. So this is a decentralized storage of rainwater is one thing looking in the Catch the Rain campaign. Second, we are also trying to build up an inventory of all the water bodies, geotagging of all the water bodies, giving unique numbers to those water bodies, picking pictures and photographs of that, so that we can have an inventory of the water bodies, and two, we can plan for the construction of water harvesting structures in a scientific way. So we sometimes, due to political reasons, we get all the water bodies, all the construction crumbled up in one area, so that there's hardly any water from the first check dam flowing to the second check dam to create a water storage space there. So this is one thing which we are trying to work on by having a scientific pattern for rainwater harvesting structure. And the last point is we want to have the Jal Shakti Kendras in every district, or some beyond that. These are Jal Shakti Kendras are water knowledge centers, basically to tell about the water in the district. So that's where again we have a lot of expertise from you can help us. What are the appropriate rainwater harvesting structures suitable for the area? What should be the way this type of knowledge centers should function, and how we can get it operation in the field. These are the couple of points of concern. So I stop here. I'm all ears to listen to the experts in water from such a country who has done so well in the water management. So as I said, India, there's no shortage of water or deficit of water. We have a problem of managing the water. Water management is an issue, and you are one of the best water managers of the world. So we are all ears to listen to that. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for APEC and Maya for organizing this meeting. So we'll listen to them. Thank you.
I can see yours smiling, listening to the last part of what G. Ashok Kumar has said, that Netherlands are the best water managers in the world, and there's no scarcity of water in India. The problem is the management of that water, and that's why an important initiative called Kazrin Campaign for Effective Rainwater Harvesting is a need of the hour, which has been initiated by the National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, and G. Ashok Kumar is spearheading that mission, and he has given a context of what rainwater harvesting, why rainwater harvesting is needed, what is the importance of Kazrin campaign, and what are the areas of collaboration where India and Netherlands can partner to ensure effective rainwater management. So that, thank you so much, G. Ashok Kumar, for delivering the keynote and address, and also setting the context of this virtual dialogue on Kazrin campaign exploring Indo-Dutch collaboration opportunities. With this, I'll request Maya Acharya to give a context of how Dutch expertise can be leveraged for the Kazrin campaign and rainwater harvesting, and also introduce the speakers and the focus area for their work, so that then we can have their perspective as well. Over to you, Maya.
Thank you, Shovik. Thank you so much. Just wanted to kind of thank Mr. G. Ashok Kumar, because this is something which has been a brainchild of him. And this is something which the Government of India has been also kind of prioritizing it for the last 1 year. As we know that the Prime Minister of India has also kind of launched this campaign virtually on the World Water Day. So that was also a very important thing. And considering the fact, as Mr. Ashok Kumar mentioned, that yes, Netherlands, has been doing, it is known for its water management activities, and how they can really train the water, how they can really manage the water in a proper way. So from that perspective, when we had discussions with the National Water Mission, so Mr. G. Ashok Kumar said that it will be very good if we can invite the companies from the Netherlands and see how can we join hands and how can we do things together. So thank you so much, Mr. Ashok, for to really have this kind of a thought, and that we could work it together. So Shovik, I would now request you if I could just run a short presentation just to kind of mention that what are the various activities we are in, and then
Yes.
after that, of course, start
It's
introducing.
already on screen. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So just to start with that, this is a very important campaign where Netherlands also wants to collaborate and cooperate with India. If you go to the second slide, Shovik.
Yes. Prabhakar, next slide, please. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a little idea, so Netherlands has been playing a very important role for India's water sector, where technology, innovation, and governance, they have been key to Indo-Dutch water cooperation. Just to give you a little sequence, so Government of India and Government of Netherlands have signed an MOU for partnering in many water projects. In 2018, cleaning of River Ganges, of course, has been a very important mandate for both the countries. And when Prime Minister of Netherlands, Mr. Mark Rutte, had visited India, this was one of the major discussion points between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Rutte about cleaning of River Ganges. In 2019, we had a royal visit followed by a very big delegation. And again, water was one of the key focus areas in that delegation also. In 2020, October, we have initiated a joint working group between Government of India and Government of Netherlands, where NMCG plays a very important role. Then in April 2021, we had this strategic Indo-Dutch partnership, where again the two prime ministers, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister of the Netherlands, they discussed about water. So water plays a very important role in terms of top sectors between both the countries. It's a very important agenda in the bilateral cooperation. So there are a lot of companies from the Netherlands like DHV Haskoning, Solidaridad, Waternet, Parks. They are already active in India, and these companies they have been instrumental in providing wastewater technologies, in abatement of water pollution, in more proper drop. So there are a lot of Dutch companies which are already active, and one of our main focus is that we want to have more and more of Dutch technologies to address the water issues. Next slide, please. So no, next slide. Yeah. So so just a few Indo-Dutch programs, just to give some major programs which we have initiated and which we are working on. So in Ganges rejuvenation program, which is a kind of a very important program between India and the Netherlands, we have addressed the tannery sector, which is in the northern belt in Uttar Pradesh, in Kanpur. And we are now it has been a very successful program, and we are scaling up to the eastern part of India, which is in Calcutta. And the next in the agenda is to scale up to one of the southern cities, which is Tamil Nadu, which is Chennai. We are also planning to see whether we can look at another polluting industry, which is textiles after leather. Again, under the Ganges rejuvenation, we are working on some important crops which are major water guzzlers like sugarcane and cotton. So we have made a lot of interventions in that. We are also involved in a couple of research projects like the Pavitra Ganga project in Kanpur. Then there is another project which we are working on the wastewater treatment aspects, including AMR, which is Barapula Drain Project. There is another project which we have initiated, which is on the Hindon River. So this is also kind of a tributary of the Ganges, which is basically Yamuna, and we are working on that. Another program is Water as Leverage for Resilient Cities in Chennai. This is a program where we are focusing on the nature building solutions and circularity and sustainability aspect of water, mainly the decentralized issues which you just mentioned, Mr. Ashok. Another program which we are also very heavily involved is the flood management program in Kerala under the Kerala Rebuild initiative. And there is another program which we are working under the WASH mandate, which is financial inclusion, improve sanitation and health. So here also we are having a couple of Dutch companies which are working on that. Next slide, please. So if we talk about the Indian government initiatives, of course, Mr. Ashok just mentioned about the Jal Shakti Abhiyan. So there are a couple of these aspects which have been highlighted by the Government of India, which is water conservation, rainwater harvesting, reuse of water, recharging of structures, watershed development, intensive afforestation. So we are quite active in most of these areas, and we want to kind of increase our intervention in mainly in the rainwater harvesting and the water conservation, which was just mentioned. There are the initiatives like optimizing the efficiency of existing irrigation systems. So we are quite active. We are also working on that front. We are working on promoting of water positive technologies in agriculture and industry. We are also looking at the new water policy 2020, which is expected, which is of course in the draft stage. We are also looking at adopting AI and other technologies to check the cropping patterns. In fact, just to inform that we will be organizing a mission on AI in the month of September. So I think that will be also a very good mission where you can see there'll be a lot of Dutch companies which will be involved in it. We are also involved in the use of grey water in agriculture. We are trying to reduce the dependence on groundwater, which is a major problem in India. There are lots of policy instruments and programs which are under the draft stage or on the implementation stage. So we are trying to see where we can add value. Next slide, please. So this is my last slide, and basically what we could really feel is that looking at the initiatives which have been taken by Government of India and looking at the expertise and the knowledge which is there from the Netherlands, I think it's very important, and this is the right time that we can join hands with the National Water Mission and and whereby we can facilitate the entry of Dutch technologies in these above areas which I just mentioned, and also provide support in developing more projects and programs with companies. So I'm very thankful to these companies who have come in today, like Biosphere, Urban Rain Shell, Henab, Eikelcam. I mean, they have really showed interest in this campaign, and that's the reason why they are there. And we really want to join hands with them and kind of partner with National Water Mission, the success of the campaign. So, talking on these lines, I would now like to kind of give the floor to Mr. Joost here, who is our economic counselor of the Netherlands Embassy, to share his thoughts on how we can cooperate and collaborate in this campaign. Over to you, Joost. Oops, I think there is some connectivity problem.
I guess some technical problem with Yost end. Maybe
Yost, are you there? Or
his mic is muted, I guess.
Yes. Yes, Yost. Would request you to share your thoughts on how to take this campaign forward. I think you are on mute, Yost.
Yeah, now you should be able to hear me, right?
Yes.
This site is constantly reloading on my iPhone, but I heard the presentation of Ashok, which was very interesting, and Sofik as well. Maya, you had an interesting presentation. So yeah, what is there to add? Well, I am the head of the economic department, but by profession I'm a hydrologist. So water is always close to my heart, and I worked a lot in the water sector in Asia as well as in Latin America. And even if you do some research on the internet, you'll find some publications from me on irrigation management transfer to the farmers, right? And which is still, I think, an important thing, which is which should deserve his attention as well. I have been working in water harvesting a lot in Africa, but there we had to get the water out of the rivers and let it flow over large plains and get it infiltrated and be able to grow still some crops. When it comes to rain harvesting, yeah, I'm living here in Defense Colony, and I see that every square inch of my neighborhood, of the whole colony, is just concrete, right? There is not a single opening space for a drop of water to infiltrate. Also, the gardens are all stone, nicely maintenance-free gardens, right? There's hardly any space for trees to breathe. And you know, when I walk through the streets, I think, you know, it's a very simple solution, right? Break a lot of this concrete away, make some grass or lawns, and you know, you see that people also occupy the space around the house, the concrete space, and then they put pots and flowers and small trees and palm trees in it. And I think, you know, break away the concrete and put the trees directly, you know, in the soil. So solutions are there. But I think, you know, we have to make people aware of it. They just don't realize it. As long as water is coming out of the tap, they think, you know, water is not a problem. But it is a problem, and it is a severe problem. It's not only an India problem, it's also the whole climate change. And we see it in the Netherlands as well. I mean, also our rainstorms are erratic. And a couple of days ago, or maybe a week ago, it was in Maastricht that we had, I think, 94 millimeters in less than an hour. So the whole city, or the city or surrounding Maastricht, was completely flooded. And it's only last year that we became, again, that we had our aquifers recharged in the Netherlands. Before that, we were, I think, 3 or 4 years rain deficit in the Netherlands. So, you know, it is everywhere the same, and climate change is really affecting everything. So the weather pattern and the rainstorms is getting more erratic and unpredictable. I have been living 2 years in Kerala. I have been there in the monsoon for 6 weeks, and I had a water well in my garden of, I think, at least 10 meters deep. And then, you know, it was filled up in 2 or 3 days only. So I know what monsoon is, I know what water can do and what groundwater can do. So yeah, rain harvesting, I think it's very, very important. And, you know, I'm not really a specialist in it, but I'm sure that we have all parts of the experience needed to contribute to the solution and to work together with India and with the National Water Mission and the Jal Shakti Ministry. So yeah, and the same we are actually doing as well in Chennai, where you have the same problem. The whole city is one concrete flap, right? Water can't go anywhere, and then you see it's a super vicious flooding off. It goes into the drainage, and it goes to nowhere. It goes into the sea, it goes into a river, and you can't use it anymore. So it's such a waste of natural resources which come down for free, right? So yeah, rain harvesting, we should do it, and I'm also looking forward to the solutions that the companies have on their sleeves, and what we can do. And as far as we can do, the Dutch embassy and the Netherlands are always prepared to work together. We have also upgraded the cooperation with India to a Delta status, a Delta country. So much more money is now also available for the cooperation, and we are now preparing a new water program. So we're going more from the project-oriented cooperation to a program cooperation. And in the Prime Minister's meet of a couple of months ago, it has also been decided between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Rutte to have also the water cooperation elevated to a ministerial level, so that the ministers of water will at least meet once in a year. So I think that from our side, there is all the commitment to work together with India on every possible solution in the whole water sector. And now rain harvesting is one of them, but there are so many more problems. And I mean, management is a very, very subject, right? There's so many angles and subjects and lines to walk on. So yeah, I'm looking forward, and I'm sure that we will find the right cooperation, as we have done already for years in the past, right? So yeah, I'm enjoying it and look forward to a good cooperation. So we are there. Where that our commitment is clear. So thank you so much for having me here, and I'll join the rest of the meeting and to see what the private sector has to come up with. I'm looking forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joost, for sharing
thank
your
you.
thoughts.
Just one minute. Thank you, Joost. Actually, I confined myself to the Catherine campaign part. National Water Mission does a lot of work in the demand side also. We also look for, we have had a campaign called Sahi Fasal, which actually looks for encouraging farmers to diversify the crops from water guzzling crops, and also to go for minor irrigation, the better irrigation techniques like sprinklers and drip irrigation. So that part, demand side, is also there. Also, National Water Mission looks after the audit of the industries, water audit of industries, and also in the water audit of the agriculture sector. So we have also done a lot of business process re-engineering with the help of technical people to reduce the water use in paper industry and other industries. So that's also we have been doing it. And the third one is also with the Namami, we are trying to set up a National Bureau of Water Use Efficiency, which would give ratings to the water usage in the industry and as well for the appliances. So these are a couple of the other aspects of Water Mission. But since today's program was just confined to the catching the rain and that part, so that's why I didn't talk about others. We also deal with other aspects of water. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I think, Ashok, thank you so much. But we should meet very soon, also in view of the development of the new water program, the cooperation program. So yeah, it was great. Thank you. We'll meet soon.
Thank you, Joost, and thank you, Ashokji, for those points. Now, I would like to introduce Michelle Stu from Urban Rain Shell. So Michelle is an architect, a master in restoration of old cities and buildings. She is a partner and the International Business Development Manager at Urban Rain Shell. Urban Rain Shell is basically an innovative company in the field of climate adaptation, more specifically in the rainwater harvesting and treatment solutions. So Michelle, maybe you can introduce your company and you can also give a presentation. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you very much, Maya.
I will just request that if we can confine our presentation to 10 minutes for each of the speakers. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Maya. And indeed, I'm very glad to be here. And I think our solution is it really fits very well with all the problems you just presented. Our solution can be installed under concrete or under all the new way of building cities. And for us, it's also a point. So we are harvesting water and also in very big quantities. Our system can get up to 1,300 meters a day of rain. But for us, it's also a point that in the same step, we're cleaning the water and make it available for reuse. In order to present to you our system, I just prepared a presentation. I'm going to share it with you. And here it is.
Michelle, if you can put it in slideshow mode.
I'm sorry?
If you can put it in a slideshow mode.
Slideshow mode.
In my side, it was like that. In your side, not?
No, I'm saying that if you can play the presentation in a slideshow mode so that we can see the slides in full.
I did. Okay.
From here you can do it.
Now it's okay?
No, but we can't hear your voice actually.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you cannot hear it?
No,
we cannot hear your voice.
Okay, so then I will just speak. I will explain. I did a voiceover because there is a renovation here. I hope there will be no noise.
So we can play the presentation from here. Michelle, we have your presentation. We can play it from here. You can keep on change. So Prabhakar, let's play Michelle's presentation from our end.
Fine, then do that, and I will.
Yes.
There's not too much noise here.
And you can keep on saying change, and you can change the slides.
Okay, so I already did it myself. If you could please show the next slide. So as you all know, there is due to climate change all over the world, there is a lot of problem and damage created by heavy rainfalls, which create damage to public and private infrastructure. Next, please. It's also bad for having extreme floodings. It's also create a very long drought periods, in which we are missing the water that are coming in the very heavy rainfalls. Next, please. So urban rainfall offers a natural base solution to become more resilient for heavy rainfalls and drought. We buffer, purify, infiltrate, reuse rainwater. We have a patented system which is using circular natural materials, and we are collecting, cleaning, and storing rainwater to be reused in a later stage. Instead of temporary buffering and discharging stormwater as fast as possible to our rivers and seas, with urban rainfall, we store and use the precious rainwater. Please, next. Our system is natural use based, it's super environment friendly, use no energy, it absorbs CO2, and demands very low maintenance. It can be applied in every location regardless of the existing infrastructure. So it's very, very flexible and can be as part of infrastructure in an existing city or in a new and a bit more remote area. It applies a long-term solution from which multiple future generations can benefit with the circular design. So our system can be designed to be efficient for up to 80 years. Next, please. In the following animation, we created this following animation to show you how the system is working. I hope you can see there is also a soundtrack for this one. Excuse me, could you put the sound of the movie?
Prabhakar, can we have the sound of the presentation as well, the video?
This is urban rain shell, and here's how it works. Rain arrives via the roofs, streets, sidewalk, and gullies into the supply drain of the urban rain shell system. There, under a foundation of at least 30 centimeters, millions of washed seashells collectively form a buffer in which heavy showers can be stored very quickly. The shells have a 70% hollow space and function not only as a buffer, but also as a natural purification station for the rainwater. As a result, the system breaks down organic pollution, preventing the system from clogging up. Moreover, the shells are lightweight and CO2 binding. After going through the shells, the rain is led to a drain via the innovative mineral mix AA Minerals. AA Minerals is specially designed to remove heavy metals, mineral oils, and PAHs from the water. The rainwater is now completely clean, so it can be safely integrated into nature reserves, groundwater protection areas, or into aquifers in the deep subsoil, where it can form a freshwater bubble. Also, the rainwater can be meaningfully used for all kinds of applications, such as sprinkling sports fields, as firefighting water, or as play water. The system can be applied under green areas, parks, or in combination with wadis, but also under town squares, parking lots, or roads. Depending on the application, a different foundation structure must be chosen.
Thank you. Next, please. Okay, so in the next few slides, I will present some of the benefits of our system. Next, please. So as I started to mention before, the main part of our system is built from treated seashells, and through their structure and character, the structure of about 70% hollow space, it allows very fast infiltration of water into our system. And as I said before, it can infiltrate up to 1,300 meter rain per day. Next, please. Our system is also purifying the water. So the shells themselves, because of their nature, they're also functioning as a bacteriological contamination cleaning station. After which we have our mineral mix, which is a kind of secret mix, which cleans heavy metals, minerals, oils, and packs, which are the most common pollutions you can find in the urban areas. And with our system, when we are cleaning all those things, we are not only collecting the water, but we also prevent all these materials and dirt to get into the environment. Next, please. Our system is made from natural materials, and it's circular and renewable, which means that we are not using as less as possible plastic. We don't need, our system doesn't need any source of energy. It's working by itself with gravity. And after 40, 50, 80 years of using our system, the materials we're using are still suitable to be reused as a building material. So we're also not creating any waste for them. Next, please. Our system, again, because of the character of the shells and our minerals, is it's self-cleaning. So there is very low maintenance needed. You don't need to, there are not many pipes you need to clean or maintain. and therefore it's also available for a very long time. We did all kind of tests and researches, and the only advice we give is once in 2 years, because one part of our system is the pipe that you can see here. It's also a patented pipe. It's not a normal pipe. It has a special filtering characteristic. But this one we do give the advice to watch once in 2 years. From tests we did already, we know that it's not clogging, and you can use it for a long time. Next, please. Our system is very, very flexible, as I mentioned before, and what it means that we are very flexible shape. We're very flexible to build it in different groundwater level. So for example, in the Netherlands, there is very high groundwater level, and we can work with that. It's very flexible in urban existing area. We can build it around infrastructure, existing infrastructure. And it's of course flexible in the shape. Next, please. Sorry, next, please. Okay. Now, another advantage of our system, because it's lightweight, it presents less risk for moving of grounds. So it's also helping to more stabilize ground where you have a lot of rainfall, and it will not create buoyancies, actually. And because of the character of the shelves themselves, they're also binding half of their weight in CO2. Next, please. The use of our water. So our water were tested in the Netherlands according to the official laws and measurement ways, and they are allowed in the Netherlands to be moved into aquifer water, so also underground water, and it can be reused. We are not using it as a drinking water because we didn't do this test. It's not our objective to do that, but we can replace a lot of sweet drinking water by different uses as irrigation or plain water, and even fire department water. Next, please. Okay, so I don't have so much time. We did test our system in different places, and it's already being installed in different locations in the Netherlands. So I think I will just try to show you some of the projects to give ideas of how we can use it. Next, please. It's also for whom it is. It is for actually all the entities and all the municipalities or governments who like to have a good environment-friendly long-term solution and to prevent floodings because of heavy rainfalls, and want to reuse the sweet water and to make the pressure on the drinking water less. It also can be used by insurance companies as part of their we had some contacts with insurance companies as part of what they offer when they insured cities, for example. It could be a part of their system which allow them to insure cities. I will just continue. Sorry for the time. Next. Another benefit of our system is that when you compare, of course, the damages, the price of damages of floodings, but also price of sweet water in different places, and we checked it already in different locations. So in the Netherlands, it showed about 30% saving of the water price, of sweet water price. As you can see here, that was a study case in the States, where we could had an ROI just from the water price of 172% in 10 years. And then when we saved 25% of the price of sweet water. Next, please. So in this case, we're going to see that using urban rain shell is not only a great way to prepare for the climate change, but also a great investment financially. I'm not sure, do I have more time? Maya? Because I see it now with all the
How much more time do you require? Because I think Mr. Ashok would also like to ask you some questions.
Okay, so
Can
if
you
you
go
continue
faster?
now,
How
I
many?
think we're getting.
But if you want to continue,
We can
it's,
get
I mean,
now.
if it's
Yeah,
go
okay.
ahead,
Then I would just show a few projects we built just to give an idea. I'll do it very fast, just to give an idea
Yeah,
in
sure.
which way you can use our system.
Sure.
Then next, please. Okay, next. So when one of our projects was built in 2015 in the municipality of Goes in the Netherlands, we've installed our system under sport facilities. The objective there was that the whole sports center wanted to be disconnected from the sweetwater supply. So we're using our system, and there were we didn't have the problems of flooding the grass fields, and the water we saved and collected, they could use in dry times to irrigate. Next, please. Another example, we've built it our system next to Natura 2000, which is an environment natural reserve that had suffered from the pollution coming from the very close by urban area. So by using our system, we've created kind of buffer that cleaned the water on the way to the nature reserve. Next, please. In another city in the Netherlands, we have built our system and used the water we saved for the water for the firefighting water department. That's the water they're using to spray. Next, please. Next, yeah, sorry. In the municipality of Amsterdam, we had a pilot where we put our system next to a parking lot. The idea was to prevent the damage to the parking lot, so not to have flooding in the parking lot itself. The water were used as a playing water. In this case, the municipality have chosen to show part of the system, so that's why you can see the shells here as playing materials, the children next to the water that are playing instrument for the children. Next, please. In the city of Stuvoude, we've built it last year, in December last year, under a few streets, which also had suffered problems from flood. And there it was installed under a way, because as I said, our system is also possible to carry traffic loads, and it can be just preventing the floodings in neighborhoods. Next, please.
Sorry, Michelle, can I, sorry, I need to interject here because there are other speakers also. So,
Yes.
If it's okay with you, because I think you've already shown us
First.
I'm sorry because of the time
I'm
factor.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was just
So,
have you done anything in India?
Presentation was very.
Have you done anything in India?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, I had contact with Maya about it. We started to be international. Our first international project was in Belgium last year. So we are looking for that. We're missing, if you have, we're missing the budget. That was the thing that we talked about with Maya. If there is a project, we will be very to build a pilot.
The shells as well as the next one, it's all it's a patented product.
It's made from shells. So the shells, we use now our shells from the North Sea that we are treated. Our meaning when we do it internationally to use local shells after we test them, and we want to work in cooperation with a local company which will treat the shells like we need it.
Okay.
The minerals we will need to, because it's a
thank you.
kind of secret recipe. Our idea is to also local cooperations with local companies.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, Michelle. And I think it was a very interesting and a very innovative concept which you showed. I'm sure Mr. Ashok would definitely be impressed by it. Now, I would like to introduce the next speaker, who is Daniel Lipchitz. So, Daniel has a very interesting track record spanning over more than 30 years in the field of arts, architecture, urban design, environmental sustainability, and technological innovation. So he has worked extensively with programs and projects geared towards environmental regeneration and preservation, technological innovation for circular, economic, social, and environmental sustainability, as well as the economics of environmental compensation mechanisms. So, Daniel has been conceiving, developing, and forwarding this foundation, which is called the Biosphere Foundation, which he started in 2014. So he's a founder of that. And maybe I can give the floor to Daniel to kind of give a little bit of more details. And of course, I think Daniel would also like to play a video after that. So over to you, Daniel.
Okay, that's correct, Maya. I would like to play a video. Thank you for the introduction. I hope I'm audible and
Yes.
visible. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So I think it would be good to first have a look at the short video about one of the projects that
Biosphere is here to make the world big again, for everyone and everywhere. We design circular programs with a multiplier factor on impact. Our goal is to tackle ecological problems right at the source, in developing countries where the ecological need is most urgent. Forest farms is a business model for greening the desert as a regular trade for local people. We need your help to make it possible and to upscale this project to a worldwide franchise formula. Take a look at what we have already accomplished in the Thar Desert.
In August 2018, we started planting trees in India to make the Thar Desert greener and help the farmers. And now, in March 2019, it's time to show you our results. We can say that we can plant trees in the desert, because 93% is still growing strong. Our fencing protects our trees against the wild boars, cows and goats. These results are more than enough for a solid plan for the future. We're going to make a forest of 5,000 trees. The grass will be used by local farmers to feed their animals. They will have fodder all year long. And at last, we're going to harvest rainwater for the village and the forest as well.
Now back to the bigger picture. The number of climate refugees due to drought and floods is rising rapidly and estimated to reach 700 million by 2050. The consequences and suffering would be unimaginable. Invest with us in arid land to prevent this unsustainable urban migration. The time to act is now.
Okay, I understand that my picture is frozen, but I hope that I'm audible nevertheless. So
no, it's fine. Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, so we have been deploying projects and programs geared toward the Indian context since 2015. Currently, the foundation is working as a one-stop contractor for what we call our technology cluster, and it's very much water-oriented. So we have at the moment also a good partnership with the Netherlands Water Partnership, which is the sectoral organization for the Dutch water sector. And we are writing a program called Remit and Recover. I think in the context of the Catch the Rain campaign is very important to look at systemic solutions, meaning that urban interventions need to go hand in hand with the interventions in peri-urban areas, and specifically the rural areas. When we look at the rural areas, we see that the natural ecosystems that local communities depend upon are in many cases degraded to a high extent. So the Biosphere Foundation, with its different technologies, and it would go too far now to explain about all of them, is really geared towards what we call ecosystem restoration. For this, we've devised a methodology called smart ecosystem engineering. And I think when we talk about the Catch the Rain campaign and rainwater catchment in the rural areas, it has to be done through also partial landscape restoration. And this is very important because in the end of the day, the natural ecosystems, if they can be restored to their original natural integrity, then the ecosystems themselves will help very much in the natural water management that is one of the ecosystem services provided by most of the ecosystems in India. And we also are now developing a artificial intelligence, IoT, and blockchain-based solution for systemic water management, in which we have real-time feedback of everything that connects to natural bioretention and the recharging of aquifers that are, of course, endemic to each ecosystem, and especially also looking at soil to water conductivity, water quality, soil quality, etc. This is a system that we are very keen to deploy first on a pilot level across different use cases, again, specifically in the rural areas, which we think in the context of the Catch the Rain campaign, at least from our side, would have the main focus, more so than the urban areas. It is important to have real-time feedback and also the possibility to simulate different scenarios with regard to the physical interventions into ecosystem when it comes to rainwater harvesting. And it could serve as a control center. Very much so if we look at the control centers within the smart city mission. This also can be deployed to the rural areas. Why the focus on the rural areas? Because we believe it's very important to look at the demand side in terms of drought and flooding. And it should also be demand driven. Now, in our technology portfolio, we have about 15 different participants in our programs. And of course, we had some setbacks during this Corona period, not being able to travel. And of course, like our core business is to do fact finding in the field, to work with our smart ecosystem engineering methodology. But it gave us the opportunity to really go more into research and understand better about the demand side. For this, there also have been a number of digital missions actually organized by the diplomatic network in India. And yeah, we look actually forward to be able, with our technology portfolio and specifically this this automated water management digital transformation tool, that we would like to address first and foremost the demands in the rural area. So that is the demands of the local communities, as for instance was shown for the state of Rajasthan in a very testing environment in the short video that you just saw. I will not expand very much upon our objectives and our different technology partners looking at the time, because there are many more speakers. But I'd be very happy to answer any and all questions Mr. Ashok, that you may have about the Biosphere Foundation and its projects and technologies.
Thank you. I think, Daniel, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so thank you so much, Daniel. And of course, I think it is a very interesting work which you are doing already in Rajasthan. So which will be quite kind of which will also help us to kind of see what are the other ways in which we can try to work along this the rainwater campaign which Mr. Ashok is driving. So Mr. Ashok will, of course, come up with his questions, but maybe before that, I would like to now introduce Rasool Mikkelsen from IKILCAM. So, Mr. Mikkelsen, he is the Director for Strategic Business Development for Asia and Africa at the Royal IKILCAM. And before joining the Royal IKILCAM, Mr. Mikkelsen was employed by Grundfos as a global partnership director. So in that capacity, he had visited India a couple of times, and he has an extensive knowledge about the water sector in India. He has about 25 years of experience within building and management strategic partnerships and alliances with key stakeholders such as governments, international finance organizations, project financing and investment in developing countries as well as developed countries in Africa and Asia. So now I would like to hand it over to Rasool, and probably Rasool would also kind of give a little explanation and a presentation about how Royal IKILCAM is functioning in India also.
Thank you, Maya, for a kind introduction, and I would like also thank you the Netherlands Embassy in New Delhi to organize this really strategic and very important event. So it is really extremely important to discuss the old water scarcity, not only India, but becoming more and more global issues. And actually, you just mentioned Netherlands, but I mean, all Europe, we are facing the same problem, but maybe that not at that size. Shovik, are you going to help me with my presentation?
Yes, you can see on screen, and you can just say next. And
yeah, next. Let's please do the next. Can we go to the next? Very briefly about the company. We are very honored this year to celebrate our 110 years anniversary. Very old company and family-owned company with the really huge focus on the values. In 2011, we got our royal title by the Queen of the Netherlands, and over the 110 years, Royal IKILCAM has really growing into a company that develops and supplies integrated solution for improving life quality for millions of people globally. Next, please. We are today at almost activities, companies, and subsidies and partners in more than 70 countries globally, and is also include the projects. Next, please. We are very committed to the SDGs, and actually is a part of integrated part of our business strategy. What we are trying to do and touch has to have some relationship to the SDGs. As far as the company concerns, we are focusing on 1 and 2. 6, of course, clean water and climate, life and land, and also, of course, partnership for the goals. And of course, also clean energy is part of our strategy to focus on. Next, please. Yeah, what we are trying to do, really, we are trying to look at the holistically for the climate and climate impact. Either we are talking about the pollution control, food security, land degradation, or urbanization, natural resource management, or land development. So what we try to really create and provide of the solution has to deal with all this kind of value chain of the climate change impact. Next, please. Well, not only India, but we're seeing a lot of kind of perfect storm. I mean, either you have too much water that people really dying and suffering from the flooding, or you have almost no water. But again, you have a lot of water, but the quality of water is so poor that people actually get sick of the drinking and have access to the water. Next one. Thank you. Next, please. As far as the India concerns, and we are also look at the water scarcity. I mean, again, Mr. Ashok mentioned places you have really so much water, you can just dig a hole of 5 or 6 meters, you have a water, but at the same time, we have places really drought and water scarcity is a big issue, and we have to address these challenges and come up with the solutions. Next, please. The technology I'm going to present you is a very innovative and new. What we're doing is actually drilling a lot of holes for the tubes, and then we inject the tubes in on the ground, and actually trying to create a reservoir underground. Next, please. Then what we do is really we inject water glass, and the water glass is really natural product, is actually a liquid sand in these tubes, and as make it kind of bubbles, and then connect this bubble together by injecting of this water glass. And in this one, we create actually wall around a certain area and certain space. Next, please. And this is the same again that shows how it works, and we can do it horizontal, and we can also do this vertically. Next one. And after we've done the wall, and then we can also do this, the water glass on the bottom of the reservoir, and make sure that water is not going to the underground again after we harvest, or the most important, that the salt water not introduced to the reservoir. So this is really important to protect the water from the salt water intrusion. Next one, please. And this really shows the whole value chain. So after we build the reservoir underground, you can capture the rainwater, and then you can use it for the multi-purpose. Either we are talking about recharge the aquifer from the reservoir, or for drinking purpose, or for irrigation and agriculture purpose. So this is really illustrate how we can use the water. And I think underground dam or underground reservoir is much more environmental friendly, and also not sensitive for the heat and then the sun that actually disappear the water. So next, please. This is one of the important ones. Used is the hydrologist. So we have to look at the whole value chain of the water. So what we are also doing is actually we can monitor the rain by doing some weather station in remote areas to see how the pattern for water and the rain is. And then we can also monitor the quality and quantity of the water in the reservoirs. So which means that actually, and this is all remotely, they sensor it and remotely. So people can have access to real data on their mobile or their online that can see if the, for example, reservoir or water harvesting, rainwater harvesting is for drinking water purpose, that we can really provide the people and the authorities with the water quality data. And also before we do anything, we have to test the kind of soil and the quality of the soil to figure out is the viable for doing any reservoirs at that site. So monitoring and sensoring will be really integrated part of building any reservoir or water harvesting technology. We don't have any project in India yet. We are negotiating with the Malaysian government to do this kind of technology in Malaysia. And also we can use this technology for stop saltwater intrusion to the underground, which is actually the increasingly problem becoming more and more in the coastal areas. And this is really what we are trying to do actually in Malaysia, building a underground water wall actually to stop the intrusion of the salt water to the underground water. So I think was the next one. Yeah, this is actually, I'm just showing the drilling rigs that drill these tubes on the ground, and we fill it with the water glass to really make the reservoir and protect the saltwater intrusion to the underground water. Next, please. Thank you very much. I did in 7.5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rasool. You were so much on time. And I think it was a very, very interesting presentation, and especially the one which you mentioned about saltwater intrusion. Yes, it is becoming quite a big challenge in India also. I feel Mr. Ashok will also agree with me that this is also something which probably is also under the radar of National Water Mission, and how they can stop that. So, so maybe Mr. Ashok has some...
How costly is this technology? Because there's a lot of these pipes and all. It's a patented technology, which is only you are the only vendor available, or what is it?
Mr. Ashok, I asked the same question to our technical people this morning. A diplomatic answer was, Well, it is dependent on the geology of the soil, So I think the cost is not as much as we think it's cost, but we have to look at the geology of the soil. If we are talking about the coastal area and sandy, it is very cheap. But we are talking about more kind of concrete and some soil that is really different to penetrate, it become very costly. So and also we have to look at the life cycle of the whole technology. Again, this morning I asked our technical people, the lifespan of this technology and the reservoir is 100 years. So if we do it right and soil is right, that this can actually last for next 100 years. So I think we could have a kind of life cycle cost analysis and look at the whole kind of technology. And what we would like to do is really together with our Dutch partner also is, and then locally could do a pilot project in a certain area, really take it kind of, let's see, whatever, 1 or 2 hectares, and do it in especially coastal area that we see salinity is becoming more and more, and we can capture the water. And I think it will be very fantastic showcase.
So that's you problem I can look at with the Andhra Pradesh government would be interested, because there are a lot of areas where the salinity is an issue because of the prawn cultivation and all which used to happen there. So that would be a good area. Fine.
We would love to get if the embassy, Maya, and Water Mission, we could have a technical meeting to see what is the opportunities and how we can deploy this technology and innovation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rasul, so much for this interesting, innovative glass wall which you just mentioned, which you kind of showcased. And now I would like to request our last speaker, who is Chrétien Hendricks. He is a business development manager at Genap BV. So Chrétien has a background in water management and civil engineering at the Delft University of Technology. And he also has a broad career in EPC contracting, infrastructure, sustainable energy and water management in Europe, Africa, and India. I think Chrétien will also be joined by his Indian counterpart, Mr. Utpal Banerjee. So maybe I can give the floor to Chrétien, who can explain about Genap Water Solutions. They are doing a lot of work in India, and they are really kind of, actually doing the work which is required under Jal Shakti. So over to you, Chrétien, and probably Utpal also.
It's very nice to be here today. I've heard a lot of things on very interesting already connections that we could lay maybe between our companies and for the future challenges in water management, which are very much global, but we also have lots of challenges in India. I also like to introduce my partner, which is Utpal Banerjee of North Bengal Irrigation. Genap and North Bengal Irrigation have set up a joint venture recently where we cooperate, and now we established the company Govt of India together, and it's based in Siliguri, Sikkim, so in the northeast of the country. And we already are executing several projects in PPPs for irrigation for small farmers and drinking water storage. I will share my presentation, give you a short overview. I'll keep it short on to give you an idea of what our company does and what our ideas on water management for the future. One moment, please. Oh, this is not the first slides, sorry. So yes, okay, for this roundtable discussion on Catching the Rain campaign and future Dutch-Indian collaboration. I'll give you a short introduction. Genap is a company established 70 years ago, actually this year, 1951. The main production and office is based in the Netherlands, where we all have our in-house engineering, have a large production facility where we make all our water storage solutions. I'll come back to that later. And of course, if you look at the challenges on water, they are in the nexus. It's really a nexus of several aspects. in society. So both it's on health issues and drinking water and health issues in the water and drinking water and sanitation area. It's affecting ecosystems. There are lots of hazards, so water shortages or water deficits due to the climate change, what we see globally. And also this is indirectly also affecting very much the livelihood of people, time consuming, and also the ability to create economic activities and developments, which are often water is very much also there, very much of very importance in production, etc. So I summed up some future water challenges for India, which are not maybe actually they're kind of global, but let's go through that quickly. Climate change and land cover change, of course, increased peak runoff. So the infiltration capacities due to urbanization is often affected, which already was mentioned by the other speakers. Lower sustainability of the groundwater resources, base flow to rivers, decreased surface water in the dry season, and then large runoffs, which mostly run up, let's say, end up in the oceans before we use it and give it additional value in the economy or the drinking water and drinking water supply. And also we have a specific thing is like the mixing of salinity or contamination sometimes of iron, arsenic in the aquifers for drinking water, or for instance fluoride. More flooding to be expected, and more erosion and pollution. So we think, let's say, an approach to positively influence this is, I think this would be, we can call it the 3R approach, which is retain the rainwater when it's coming down, then recharges into the aquifer. If that before you first retain it, then you recharge the aquifer, and a part of it can be to maintain the pure quality of water as much as possible, and use it with cheap and easy filtration. You can use it straight away for drinking water, or use it for irrigation purposes. So think of drip irrigation lines, which need pretty pure water, not to be blocked by any biofilm or sediments. These are examples of things we do in the Netherlands. That's also like fertilizer in the water, or pure water for the drip irrigation, or hydroponics in greenhouses, where you see we have these silos, which are either like a full balloon, which maintain the water and keep it free of algae growth, so it's protected from UV. Large basins, which you see a lot in the Netherlands for irrigation water being produced. These are examples of projects which you do for water storage or infrastructure works. And these are a few examples of things that we provided in India in a few PPP projects. So for drinking water, rainwater harvesting for drinking water supply. This is, and now we currently set up a factory to produce these tanks, which were coming from the Netherlands, imported to India, which are now being produced locally, because we think locally is always is more cost effective, and therefore it can be more competitive in the market, and you have a better return on investment. I think in order to enable, there's a lot of challenges, but of course to enable, there's always the access to finance could sometimes be an issue, finding the right partners, and and set up a successful collaboration. This is an overview of the project we already performed in India, and are plenty yet to come. Then I would like to shortly give the word to Mr. Utpal Banerjee. Maybe he can add something to this presentation. And thank you so far. Utpal?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, as Kraichen mentioned, I am based based in the northeastern part of India, in a small town of Siliguri, which is very close to Darjeeling. Some of you must have heard the Queen of the Himalayas, Darjeeling. Well, as Mr. Kumar sir has pointed out, that when it rains, it does pause in this area. In fact, we've been getting rain for the last 36 hours continuously. But this rainwater is going to go down the drain and go to the river and then to the ocean. So GNAP India has embarked on a mission to trap this water now when it's raining, store it, and make the farmers and the general public use it in the drought months. See, I belong to a hilly region, and the droughts come straight away after our festival season, say in the month of November and December, and goes on till January, February, March. So there's no water in the hills. So our technology is very flexible. We can set up these tanks in God-forsaken places. Even we've set up these tanks with the army as high as 14 or 15,000 feet above sea level in a place called Sandakfu, where there is a huge scarcity of water. So the Indian Army Jawans use this rainwater for their basic needs. So we are, in fact, in discussion with the government of Nagaland. I'm sure, sir, you'll know where Nagaland is, and we are trying to use our technology in each and every village to harvest the rainwater from the churches, the schools, and the administrative or community buildings. And this water will be used in the latter months for the entire village. I hope in the near future we will be a part of the government's program to share our technology and proper and effective use of this rainwater. And I invite you all, in get a chance to come to this part of the world, do come. It's a very beautiful place. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kretian and Utpal, for this presentation. And I think what I could really see was that all these companies, what they have showcased, Mr. Ashok, they are the companies which can really help you in towards achieving this Cashless campaign mission which you are driving, because they have such technologies which can really help in the groundwater depletion, the storage of water, as Mr. Utpal was just mentioning. The water can be used in times of drought. So that is something which I think which is also one of the areas which you are looking into. So and what Biosphere also mentioned, and what Urban Shell also, the way they said that urban flooding, how the shells can be used, for this new concept which is developed for urban flooding. So maybe Mr. Ashok, your thoughts, and how do you think we can?
I think Maya, before Ashok sir starts, I think there's a short video by Henab also, a short video I think to be played, and then we can have a perspective from Ashok sir.
Sure. Wow. That was such an easy way of putting up a tank.
Yes.
So,
So it's a quick install, a quickly mountable solution as an alternative for mason tanks, and I think they're pretty sturdy and resilient to let's say ground level or rainwater, so and so thereby cracking of the walls. Yeah. Sorry about the speed of it. I think it was pretty clear. Could have been in half of the time. This installation video.
yes,
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
I
Anyway,
just want
that
to
was
add
good.
one more thing. You can
Ah.
dismantle this tank and refix it somewhere else.
Okay, I got it. Got it. So this is a very interesting thing. Actually, we require this type of quick installation and quick dismantling tanks because the as you rightly said, particularly in places where they have a lot of slopes, a lot of rain comes and it goes away. It increases the landslide, particularly in Uttarakhand and areas which you have mentioned in Siliguri and all. A lot of landslides occur because of the very fast flow of water. So this is something which we can help those hilly districts, particularly. They have huge rainfall, and then after the rain goes off, they have a lot of problem of drinking water. I'm really surprised in many villages in Meghalaya now we have drinking water problem because the water storage is not happening there. So this would be ideal solutions for that. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, today, Maya, we could showcase a lot of very innovative and different technologies. Probably um, we'll have to take up with the state government because these are all, since India is such a large country, we have very area specific solutions are there, and some of the solutions are very interesting. Probably we will try to check up with the state governments also. This we'll put in the video in the our website, and then we'll also ask the state governments to or people interested in that to take forward it. I got very interesting so natural-based solutions, particularly of the shells. That's a very interesting thing. I don't know whether we have such a big coastline and we have a lot of shells available in the country. So probably it's a very ideally suited places for taking up rainwater harvesting. That is a very some of the things are very innovative. So I should say even the glass wall. So I don't know how costly is that, but we have to find out. These are all very innovative solutions, not probably as high tech as the what we got from Singapore when we had discussions with Israel. So they had very high tech, artificial intelligence based, IoT based things, but here these are all much more natural based and probably much easier to handle. So it's very interesting. I think we have to work on it. We'll go ahead and that. As I said, we are not only confined to the rainwater harvesting structures because the theme of today's discussion was on rainwater harvesting. We also look at the demand side management of water. We also look at the treated water, use of treated water for non-potable purposes, and all these things we are promoting. We are also looking at the water use efficiency, study on water use efficiency, and very nicely you have shown the linings of the tanks and the canals, which is actually one of major causes for leakage and seepages from the tanks. So we find that our water usage efficiency of the infrastructure created is very poor because of the seepages and leakages happening all over the place. These are lineage. It is slowly coming up. The geotextile things are coming up, and the stabilization of the bunds also. We are now many places using geotextiles. Kerala is using coir-based geotextile. So these are all innovative things which have come up. So definitely, I think the state governments will put it across for their adoption. Thanks a lot. Anyway, it's very. I thank Maya and the APAC team for putting up all together. So hopefully that this is a very simple, most cost-effective way of storing rainwater. No, that's probably the nature's boon to us. If we can store water, many of the water issues can be to a very large extent sorted out, provided we can protect the water from pollution. If we can see that the water is not polluted, to a large extent, our water problems can be sorted out. And if the water problems are sorted out, probably a lot of health issues can be sorted out. If a lot of health issues can be sorted out, probably we have a lot of economic issues can be sorted out. So in a way, this is one of the major basic thing which can really turn around the Indian economy as such. Thanks a lot. I think we are looking forward for something which is very, very interesting and very vibrant ahead. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Mr. Ashok, and I would be really happy that we can try to follow up on these technologies which have been showcased today by these 4 companies, because I think they've all kind of talked about some innovative ideas and how we can try to integrate them in the programs. As you mentioned, yes, we can look at the various programs in various states, and we can try to work out something so that it will be good that we are able to use these new innovative technologies, which can be, I think, pretty cost effective. So I would also like to thank you, Mr. Ashok, for kind of really taking out the time, and we could tell you that what are the technologies which are available and how we can. And I would be very keen, and I think all of us, not me, but I think all of us would be very, very looking forward that how can we cooperate and collaborate in your programs and the projects. So thank you so much, Mr. Ashok, and of course thanks to all the speakers also. So Shobik, maybe you can conclude.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maya. Maya Acharya, Senior Policy Advisor, Water Infrastructure, Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands, India, for a wonderfully playing the role of moderator and introducing the speakers, and also our speakers, Joost Hazer, Michelle Stoop, Daniel Lipschitz, Razor Mikkelsen, Cretin Hendricks, for joining us today, and also sharing with us and also the audience that what kind of innovative solutions can be leveraged, which is being used in Netherlands in the Indian context as well. And thank you so much, the main man behind the Rain Gathering campaign, G. Ashok Kumar, a Senior IS Officer, Additional Secretary, Mission Director, National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, for delivering the keynote address. And I hope, as Maya was saying and Ashok sir was saying, that the discussions made today can be taken forward also, so that actual convergence can happen between India and Indian condition and Dutch expertise, I must say. That marriage can happen together in coming months or years or so. So thank you so much for attending this virtual dialogue on Kazrin campaign exploring Indo-Dutch collaboration opportunities. It is presented by National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Naomi Gange, Government of India, along with the Embassy of the Netherlands in New Delhi, and organized by APEC News Network. Just for information to our viewers or to our speakers, APEC News Network is a knowledge consulting, community building media company which is focusing on promotion of innovation and creating awareness on innovation for governance, healthcare, and education, with a special focus in water sector. And we are based out of Noida with the global offices in Singapore, Dubai, Malaysia, and Australia. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us this for virtual dialogue. Do keep in touch with us, and I'm sure the discussions will be taken forward in coming months and years between National Water Mission and Dutch companies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.